Okay, so welcome everyone to this second webinar organized by the European funded project KitNewCare and their partners. Today, we have a very interesting argument to discuss. The title of the webinar is Optimizing Kidney Care Pathways from Insights to Implementation. So the idea is that today, the three great speakers that are going to join us are going to try to answer the following question. How do kidney centers make sustainable change happen? So I'll give the floor to Harriet Attwell, who is a KitNewCare project manager in Organizational and Workflow Optimization Center for the Center of Sustainable Healthcare.
Thank you very much, Caesar, and thank you for the introduction. So I'm Harriet Attwell-Rogers. As Caesar mentioned, I'm based at the Centre for Sustainable Healthcare in the UK, but within the KitNewCare project, I'm a project manager for workflow and organisational optimizations. Now, I know that title is a little bit of a mouthful. I will be breaking down what that actually means in reality, and I'm really pleased that we've got with us today Giuseppe Di Chiaro from UNIMORE Hospital in Italy, and also Zuzanna Jakubowska from Warsaw Medical University Hospital, and they'll be sharing with you some of their real-world experience of implementing sustainable change in kidney care. So to get started, I just wanted to talk very briefly about what KitNewCare is, in case you're not already aware of the project. So KitNewCare is an EU Horizons funded project, and it's part of the EU's key funding programme for innovation and research to tackle climate change and achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So it really aims to transform the delivery of kidney care across Europe, and we hope beyond as well. So the project runs from January 2024 to December 2027. So we already have some really great learning that we'll be able to share with you today. So what is sustainable kidney care? Sustainable kidney care is really talking about delivering high quality care while also reducing environmental impact. So we have some really brilliant technological innovations happening within nephrology more widely and also within the KitNewCare project. But actually what we want to focus on today is the ways that we can optimize pathways. So looking at the way we organise services and how we use resources to make kidney care more sustainable in ways that you don't necessarily need new, novel, fresh technology for. So the KitNewCare project, we've got quite a wide consortium, and that includes 4 clinical partner sites. So these are kidney centres based across Europe. We have one in the Netherlands, one in Italy, where we've got Giuseppe joining us from today, one in Spain, and then one in Poland, where we have Zuzanna. So each of these clinical partner sites, they are implementing and piloting sustainable changes. And these changes aim to improve or optimize workflows, processes, and pathways. So as I kind of mentioned with my title, it's a little bit of a mouthful and they can sound like sort of buzzwords, but they really are quite meaningful different elements of healthcare to understand and to consider when we are implementing sustainable change. So I just wanted to briefly talk about what is a workflow, what is a process, what is a pathway, and why should we care about these things. So a workflow, we're surrounded by workflows within hospitals, there's hundreds and thousands, and it's basically just the way that tasks and activities are done day to day. So for instance, when you're setting up a dialysis session, that will be one of your workflows. And then processes, I mean, all around us at work, at home, wherever we are, we have all these processes that are kind of invisible in the background. And it's simply just a sequence of steps needed to deliver part of care. So for example, ordering and preparing medications, we have a process for that. And then finally, but a really important one is the pathway. And this is the overall journey a patient takes through your service. So from their first consultation all the way through to treatment completion. So really what we're talking about when we talk about workflows, processes and pathways is just how is care organised and delivered. And in fact, when we look at it in this way, for instance, with a process, you can imagine if we make just one small change to make that process more efficient, we're coordinating care better, and that ultimately leads to a more sustainable way of doing things. So how do we optimize or improve these elements of care? How do we improve how we do things? Through the KitNewCare project, we've been, as I mentioned, piloting these sustainable changes. So I wanted to talk to you about just some of the sustainable changes that we've been implementing. A really important area is dialysis configuration and consumables. So we're looking at how can we set up the dialysis machine to be as sustainable as possible. So using resource saving settings on machines, reducing unnecessary consumables, but also looking at how we can use more sustainable consumables as well, where that's possible. And now a lot of people, when you start talking about sustainability or the environment, they think about waste handling and processing. And yes, that is a really cool component that we need to consider and that we need to optimize. So in this project, we've been improving waste segregation, reducing hazardous waste production, and also looking at doing things like emptying and disinfection of products for recycling. Travel, so travel is a really big carbon hotspot within healthcare. We know that it causes a lot of the emissions and pollution as well. So travel and digitalization is another area that we've implemented change to. So we've been increasing virtual consultations and also implementing paperless systems where we can. Now, for testing and diagnostics, we've done some interesting work in this area, and we've been able to reduce unnecessary tests, as well as aligning the frequency of testing to clinical need. So this actually puts care within best practice guidance, as well as being more sustainable and taking out unnecessary steps for patients. Plant room and utilities, I kind of see this as the backstage of kidney care and dialysis. So it's in a really important area where we've been monitoring and optimizing the consumption of water, energy, and heat. And last but definitely not least is medication management. So we can really reduce medication waste, and some of the ways we've been doing this is through optimizing the ordering and management of medications. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour of what we're talking about with these sustainable changes, and hopefully you can see how this is sort of disrupting the status quo and how these workflows, processes and pathways work. So why bother? Kidney care is working okay, right? Why do we need to change the status quo and implement more sustainable ways of doing things? Climate change, we all know it's happening by now, and we're starting to really see the physical effects of this in every corner of the globe, whether it be extreme weather events or resource scarcity or increasing instability. So healthcare is a major contributor towards greenhouse emissions. However, additionally, the kind of impact of extreme weather events and climate change negatively impacts healthcare as well. So we have this kind of balancing act between the two, but it's clear that we do need to make change. So the problem we have, kidney care is resource intensive. I'm sure you're all aware of that. It uses a lot of water and a lot of energy. However, we can reframe that and actually view it as an opportunity. So kidney care is resource intensive, but that makes it the perfect place to implement sustainable change and use it as a demonstrator for the rest of healthcare of how we can implement change and make care more sustainable. You may already be aware that the theme for this year's World Kidney Day is caring for people, protecting the planet. So we care about the environment, but we also care about people. And by streamlining workflows and clinical processes, we improve coordination and the patient experience, we take out unnecessary steps, and we're also making smarter use of staff time, equipment, and resources. So it's not just about the environment, it's also about our patients, our communities, and our staff. This is the sustainable value equation from the Centre for Sustainable Healthcare. And really what it's showing is we get sustainable value where we improve outcomes for patients and populations while reducing the negative environmental, social and financial impacts. So hopefully you can see how the changes I've mentioned do that. So how does change happen? Optimization is a process. It's not just a single change. And it starts with understanding current practices and identifying opportunities. And Giuseppe is going to talk to us about some really great work he's been doing in UNIMORE in Italy to do this. It requires engaging teams, staff and patients to design practical improvements. And in fact, the photo you can see there is of Warsaw with Zuzanna. So that's showing some of the group work that we've done with staff and patients to design these improvements. And overall, this leads to testing, adapting, and embedding practices into workflows. So it's not kind of a one and done, you don't make the change and then walk away from it. It's an ongoing process. Just wanted to share with you, this is the SUSQI framework. So the SUSQI stands for Sustainable Quality Improvement. And here at the Centre for Sustainable Healthcare, we've developed this in a way that these 4 quite straightforward steps can be followed to implement change in a sustainable way. So you can either use this in conjunction alongside existing quality improvement frameworks, it slots in quite well. Or if you don't already have the experience of working with quality improvement frameworks, it's a great place to start. So the steps are really setting goals. So what you aim to achieve, studying the system, and this is a really important element that we'll be focusing on today as well. So that's understanding these workflows, processes, pathways, understanding the staff and the patients within your service so that you know what's happening and therefore you can design the improvement based on this. So you design the improvement, you implement the change, and then importantly, you measure the impact so you understand the effect that your change has had. So I'm now going to hand over to Giuseppe so he can talk a bit more about his experiences in UNIMORE in Italy.
Thank you, Harriet. And good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. I will share my screen. Can you see?
Yeah, thanks, Giuseppe.
Okay. So today I will talk you about what we done in last months and what we are doing now on for sustainability in our dialysis center in Modena to implement green dialysis in clinical routine. I just want to give you some data about our dialysis center. In the Università Hospital of Modena, we have 1,400 square meters of surface area, 260 H.D. patients, 60 P.D. patients, 46 dialysis stations. And we also have in our dialysis unit 7 nephrologists and 60 nurses. Annually, we perform 40,000 H.D. treatments and 300 P.D. treatments. So what change did we identify? We focused on hazardous waste production and hemodialysis practices and settings used by nurses. And how did we investigate the problem? Making observation during in vivo dialysis sessions, administering questionnaires to all dialysis nurses, making audits and monitoring. So what did we learn? In our dialysis center, we have, according to me, a great feature that is having a different type of dialysis machine. As a university hospital, we choose to buy different type of dialysis machines. So we have Flexia by Belco, DBB EXA by Nikkiso, the 5008 by Fresenius, and the Dialogue IQ by B. Brown. Here you can see hemodialysis waste production in vivo dialysis session. And you see that Belco and Nikkiso, in this case, produced a total of waste of 1.8 kilos, while Fresenius and B. Brown produced 1.7 kilos during the dialysis session. Obviously, the predominance is for hazardous waste. You see 0 for paper and plastic, not for nurses' bad behaviors, but because until December, we didn't have an agreement between our hospital management and HIRA, that is the society that is responsible for the waste management, to segregate paper and plastics. So nurses at the end of the dialysis had to put paper and plastic in general waste. So that's why you see 0. And this one is for hemodiafiltration waste production. even during in vivo dialysis session. We have that Belko and Fresenius produced 1.7 and 1.6 kilos of total waste, and Nikiso and B. Brown produced 2 kilos of total waste. Even here, we have a predominance for hazardous waste as well. Here I summarized the data I showed you before for the different type of dialysis machine, make a comparison between hemodialysis and hemodiafiltration in waste production. So in the first three columns, you can see waste produced during hemodialysis. And in the last three, for each dialysis machine, you can see the waste produced in an hemodiafiltration session. So as you can see, for Belko and Fresenius, switching from hemodialysis to hemodiafiltration, we had an increase of the production of hazardous waste and a reduction for general waste and total waste production. For B. Brown and Nikiso, we had an increase of the production of hazardous waste and total waste, and we had a reduction for general waste. Then we analyzed all the dialysis procedures for nurses for all the different dialysis machine. So we observed different in vivo dialysis session for each dialysis machine to analyze all the procedures made by nurses to identify some issues or procedures not performed. So as you can see, we have machine startup, bicarbonate cartridge connection, blood circuit installation, priming, heparin dilution, CVC connection, arteriovenous fistula cannulation, reinfusion, CVC closure, arteriovenous fistula dressing, blood circuit removal, dialyzer emptying, bicarbonate cartridge emptying, machine disinfection, shutdown and cleaning, and bed cleaning. So as you can see in the red box, we have that for Belko, Fresenius, and B. Brown, a lot of nurses, they did priming and infusion with saline bags plus giving set instead of online priming and infusion. And for they often also did not perform the dialyzer emptying with the Fresenius 5008. So we administered to a questionnaire to all dialysis nurses, a questionnaire that was about dialysis procedures and waste management. And after 2-3 weeks, we collected all the answers and analyzed them. Here we have the results of the questionnaire. As you can see, 39 or 60 nurses completed the questionnaire, so it's about 65%. The 20% of nurses performed priming and infusion using normal saline solution and giving set instead of online priming. 23% of them did not consider the colors codes for waste segregation sufficiently clear or were unsure how to correctly dispose of some of the medical devices used. The 38% did not always perform dialyzer emptying on Fresenius 5008 because the procedures were considered cumbersome and time-consuming. Not for all, just for some of them. The 87% were not familiar with the definition of hazardous waste. So how we turn insight into action? We identified some key points like identification of improvements, like sharing and discussing our findings with nurses, and making collaborative meeting with nurses. So as far as the identification of the improvements, we have online priming and infusion that brings to a reduction of normal saline waste, approximately 250 milliliters in unused per dialysis session, and a reduction in plastic waste production for the packaging. Then we have the dialyzer emptying on Fresenius 5008 machine that brings to a reduction of dialyzer weight and a reduction in the weight of hazardous waste sent for incineration. Then the reuse of the tourniquet that brings to a reduction in general waste production. As far as the tourniquet, we have to say that we are talking with the hospital hygiene to understand if this practice can be if we can be able to do this practice because we are not sure. We are waiting for a response of the hospital hygiene to understand if we will able to do it. Then we have segregation of paper and plastic, and I refer to all the packaging of the medical devices. From December, we have a new agreement between the hospital management and the HIRA waste management company. So now we are able to segregate paper and plastic and periodic waste monitoring. So monthly measurement of the amount of hazardous waste and general waste produced. Actually, we started talking about this problem since last year. In May, we organized a residential course in our hospital, a course open to all healthcare staff from our hospital and from other hospitals to talk about the problem and how we can solve this problem. So we talk about sustainability and waste management. We also had two audits. First one in October and second one in January, between physicians, nurses, and hospital management to talk about waste management. In the second one, in the audit made in January, we shared with the nurses our findings. We analyzed together all the answers to the questionnaire, and we presented our improvements. So about planning sustainable improvements, we made and we are making new nursing staff training about online priming air infusion, about dialyzer emptying on Fresenius 5008 machines, for heparin dilution using 10 milliliter cylinders instead of the saline bags, waste definition, classification, and healthcare waste management in our hospital. So what we did, we installed waste segregation bins for paper and plastic in each dialysis room. We already had bins for special waste and general waste. So since we are now able to segregate paper and plastic, we also put in every dialysis room bins, smaller bins for paper and plastic. And we also developed the poster for nurses with every single medical devices used in a standard dialysis session with the related image and right disposal after using it. And this poster will be soon displayed in each dialysis room to make easier the work of the nurse at the end of the dialysis session. What are the next steps? We want to monitor monthly waste production trend for both hazardous and general waste adjusted for monthly dialysis session, because we think that it will be an important feedback for nurses about the working they are doing daily. And here you can see a graph that shows a trend from September to December, so before the improvements for dialysis special waste production. So we had from 3,800 to 4,600 special waste production monthly. you have to consider that we start the implementation at the end of December, and we made the audit with nurses in January. So here you can see, according to me, a first great results, because from January to February we had a reduction in special waste production, almost the half of special waste production. So from 4,300 to 2,600. These results for sure has to be confirmed in the next months, but I think it's a very great result in just a month. The second one steps will be measure the energy consumption per hemodialysis session, measured for each dialysis machine during priming, dialysis session, reinfusion, and disinfection, both for chemical and cytothermal. To conclude, I want to thank all the team that works very hard daily on sustainability in our center, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Giuseppe, and I'll hand over to Zuzanna now.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see more participants. 1 second.
I have got your slides if you're having problems sharing, Zuzanna. Oh, you've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can see it. Yeah. 1 second. 1 second. I lost it again, sorry. I'm struggling for a second. I'm sorry. Give me a moment.
That's okay. Do you want me to share your slides?
Maybe if you could. I'm so sorry.
No worries. No, it's okay. Okay, there we go. Hopefully you can all see that now. And hopefully you can see that, Zuzanna, and that's right. So just let me know if I need to click through.
So again, good morning, everyone. My name is Zuzanna, and I'm from Università of Warsaw. And today I would like to talk about implementing sustainable changes in dialysis practice based on our Polish experience. So moving on with a slide, what I would like to focus on today is not only what kinds of sustainable improvements can be introduced in nephrology, but also how these changes can actually be implemented in real life settings. Because as many of us know, in healthcare, the biggest challenge is often not identifying a good idea. The biggest challenge is actually making it work in everyday practice. So we know that healthcare systems are complex, that clinical work is built around routines, habits, time pressure, regulations, and all of the technical limitations. So improving sustainability in nephrology is not simply about finding environmentally better solution. It is also about introducing change in a way that is realistic, that is acceptable to staff and safe for patients. So we can go to the slide that is saying what is the change, why is the change difficult in healthcare. So why is it so difficult? There are actually several reasons. I don't see the slides moving. So do you see them moving?
Are they moving for everyone else?
No.
Oh, sorry. They're moving for me. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, sorry, let's try that again.
So why is change difficult? Like, especially in our hospital, because we have established routines and habits, and clinical workflows are often deeply ingrained, and people rely on them because they make demanding work manageable. Second, there is a time pressure. Healthcare professionals already work in very busy environments. So any new process may initially feel like an added burden rather than an improvement. Third, many changes require some initial investment. This may include equipment, digital tools, staff training, coordination. So even when the long-term benefit is clear, the short-term effort can discourage implementation. Another issue is limited awareness of sustainability as a clinical priority. Environmental impact is not always seen as something directly linked to the patient care. And finally, there are organization and structural barriers, such as hospital regulations, procurement procedures, and limitation in IT systems. These are often less visible, but they can slow everything down very effectively. Bureaucracy, as usual, remains one of the most treatment-resistant conditions in medicine. So because of these challenges, we decided not to start with large or highly ambitious reforms. Instead, we chose to start small. We focus on small, practical quality improvement projects that could be introduced in daily clinical practice. Our approach included in identifying the root causes, designing simple interventions, and engaging clinical staff, and obviously the monitoring of the results and adapting the process when needed. And this was important for two reasons. And first, when it made it more realistic, and second, it helped us demonstrate to our hospital management that sustainability initiatives are not an abstract, and they can be practical, feasible, and relevant to our everyday work. And an additional benefit was that our team developed new skills in the area that had previously been unfamiliar to. So it was also a learning process. We doctors are not very skilled in that. So now I would like to go through examples. The first one is about reducing paper use in clinical workflow. So the first project focused on the reducing paper use. The intervention included the electronic review of laboratory results using tablets and the introduction of electronic medical orders, and obviously staff training in the digital workflows. At first glance, it seems very simple, less paper, more efficiency, so it should be easier, but in practice, we had some challenges. There was some cultural resistance to digital tools. Some clinicians initially felt uncomfortable using tablets in routine work. There were also technical issues such as Wi-Fi stability, which can quickly turn a good digital solution into our frustration. And in addition, there were regulatory requirements, especially related to electronic signatures. But what made this project possible were several factors, actually, enabling factors. We had strong support from our head of department, and there was also staff training and peer support, which helped reduce this anxiety around the new tools. We also noticed the positive patient acceptance, and that was very, very encouraging. And finally, we had initial financial resources for equipment and infrastructure, without which the whole idea would probably have stayed and remained only an idea. And moving on to another example, which was about improving waste segregation. We included this project included installation of clearly labeled recycling bins, staff education, and monitoring of waste disposal practice. Again, it sounds simple, but it wasn't that simple. The main challenges included limited awareness of recycling procedures, confusion about the correct waste categories, difficulty changing established disposal habits, and the perception among nurses that this was simply one more task added to their already full workload. What was our enablers? What were our enablers? That we actually introduced clear visual labeling and color-coded bins, which reduce uncertainty. We also used short staff training sessions. We involved clinic personnel, and their help was actually very, very important. And we had support from hospital waste management services, so it was actually feasible. Another example was reducing unnecessary laboratory testing, and the third, and that was our third project. It included reviewing laboratory testing protocols, removing the redundant tasks from the routine panels, and updating electronic ordering systems. The main barriers here were actually quite predictable. There was this habitual ordering of tests, which is very, very common in clinical practice. We had these concerns about missing clinically important information, and obviously, once again, coordination with IT system played a role. But actually, one interesting enabling factor came from nurses who quickly recognized that fewer tests meant fewer blood tests and tubes and less workload. So that practical benefit was very important. And in addition, updating electronic order panels helped simplify the new practice and made the intended behavior easier to follow. So yeah, this example especially is especially important because it shows that sustainability can align very well with efficiency and even better patient-centered care. And the last example is actually about optimizing medication ordering. The intervention included integrating the online ordering system with the pharmacy inventory system, improving monitoring of the medication stock and expiry days, and training staff on optimized ordering practices. This project brought a different type of challenge. It required coordination between clinical departments and the pharmacy. It also required technical integration of IT systems. In addition, staff had to adapt their existing ordering routines, including changing how medications were named in the system. For example, we switched from the international non-proprietary names to the trade names in some cases, or rather most of the cases. And during the transition phase, obviously, some staff continued printing orders just to double check them on paper, which I think it's understandable at first, but now we do it only online. And the main enablers were actually collaboration with pharmacy staff. They were very, very helpful, and in the involvement of the head of the nurses, who is actually responsible for the procurement of drugs in our department, and that financial benefits became, and the fact that financial benefits became visible to the hospital management. That visibility actually really mattered, and now all of the 22 departments at our hospital use this online ordering. So when we look across all of these 4 projects, what did they have in common? So although they addressed different areas or clinical practice, they revealed very similar patterns. Across initiatives, the common challenges included established habits, initial skepticism among staff, the technical or administrative barriers, and the common enablers included leadership, support, staff engagement and training, and simple practical interventions. This is, I think, one of the most important messages from our experience. And looking more broadly, we also identify several overarching challenges. This included reluctance from hospital management to the established routines and limited financial resources. But despite these barriers, one of the most important enabling factors was actually support from the Center for Sustainable Healthcare. This support was valuable not only in terms of motivation, but especially because of the practical experience in implementing sustainability projects in healthcare settings. Their guidance helped with selecting validated tools, identifying appropriate measurements, and designing realistic implementation strategies, including the resources from the case study library. So it was very important for us because it gave us a framework and helped us avoid this mindset of trying to invent everything from the beginning. So based on this experience, we believe that developing a network of institutions in Poland with similar expertise and experience could be extremely valuable. Such a network could help even relatively small sustainability initiatives become lasting changes in clinical practice. So I think this is my message actually today, and I thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Zuzanna. I'm just going to try and reshare my slides just to wrap up before we go to questions. So let's see if this will work for us. Sorry that we had a couple of tech issues there. Okay, hopefully you can see my presentation now. I think it's just loading up. Can you see that okay? Oh, perfect. Yes. So hopefully just to kind of summarize a little bit, what we want to get across is that we start implementing change by really understanding how work is happening already. So understanding these workflows, processes and pathways. But we also need to understand our people. So we need to understand our patients, our staff, and our communities. And actually, that when we're implementing change, it's not something that's done to people. They're not passive recipients of it, but actually they're part of this process. And also, we need to understand place. So we need to understand our organisation, and we need to understand the context, whether that be in terms of the financial and political systems that affect us, but also the internal factors like leadership within our organisation and cultural and contextual norms. So just a couple of key takeaways I hope you take away from this webinar today. Sustainable kidney care benefits both patients and the planet. Change is possible, from small improvements to system-wide transformations, and actually it's okay to start small and they can still have a big impact. Understanding how care is delivered is really the first step to change. And also, as I hope you've seen through Zuzanna and Giuseppe's separate journeys, there is no single route, so different approaches can still lead to the same meaningful impact. Just wanted to plug a few things while I've got you here. We are still looking for associate pilot sites for the KitNewCare project. So these are kidney centres across Europe that will be supported to replicate some of the changes that we've implemented in our pilot site. So if any of you are from kidney centres and you're interested in this at all, please do get in touch. And I've got my email on the last slide as well. And the other thing, as we've mentioned, this webinar is part of the KitNewCare series, and we've got some more coming up. So make sure you look out for those. But we also have our Centre for Sustainable Healthcare. We have a Kidney Care Sustainability Network that's open to anyone within the KitNewCare project or outside of it. And we also have webinars once a month there, as well as some resources. And then finally, just to say thank you. My email is there if anyone would like to contact me. And I think if we've got time, do we go for some questions or comments, Caesar?
Yes, of course, we have time. In the meantime that you write your questions on the chat, I have also included the information regarding the call for applications on the chat, so you can go directly on that link and download the file in case you or your organization are interested of joining us in this quest. In the meantime, you read your questions. I just want to remind you all the next webinars that we have organized. So tomorrow, the 18th, we have a webinar organized by UMC Utrecht on green dialysis technologies, innovations and pathways forward. Then, as Harriet was saying, the patient, listen to the patients is a very important part. So we have also considered a webinar on this regard on the 19th at 4 o'clock CET on sustainable kidney care, listening to patients in times of climate change. And we are going to close with a very important milestone as well for KitNewCare, which is the webinar on Teach Yourself Sustainable Kidney Care, where the learning module or the course on sustainable kidney care is going to be presented by CSH, one of our partners. So those are the next webinars that we have organized in order to celebrate this World Kidney Day 2026. In the meantime, let me thank you, Harriet, Zuzanna, and Giuseppe. Harriet, thank you very much for also including the presentation regarding our project KitNewCare. And Zuzanna and Giuseppe, thank you for your great job that you have done and you are doing on the clinical sites. It's very important for us to see how the project is developing, and also to see some results which are very important also for our stakeholders, to see that things are working and the things that we are implementing are also working inside of the clinical sites. I don't know if you, Harriet, Zuzanna, and Giuseppe, you have some last remarks.
Just to say thank you for everyone for attending, and thank you for your support, Caesar, and of course Giuseppe and Zuzanna. Thank you.
So for everyone, this webinar is going to be available also on our YouTube channel. You can find also our information and everything on social media on KitNewCare.eu. Giuseppe.
Sorry, Caesar.
I thought that you were going to say something.
No, I just want to thank you everyone to their attention to this particular problem we have to solve all together. So see a lot of people that are seeing this webinar is always a good thing. Hope more and more people will enjoy the next one webinars. Thank you all.
Thank you, Giuseppe. So I think that we can end our webinar over here. Thank you for your participation, for being here, and please visit our website KitNewCare.eu to just see our latest news on the project. Thank you again to the speakers, and see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.